Before that, I kind of have to make an announcement. I probably should have made this before, and I kind of apologize for it. Some of you might have seen an older poster which had Dr. Nader Hashmi on it. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here today, but he will be giving a talk sometime in the future. We haven't scheduled yet. And he has a very provocative title for us. If you heard me yesterday, I already mentioned this. It's called Why Muslims Should Be Skeptical About Secularism, a discussion of religion and politics in the Middle East. So hopefully we'll have that coming for you sometime in the near future. Aside from that, our next speaker will be Homa, but before I introduce her, I believe a member from the Iran Civil Rights Committee wished to make a very brief announcement, so I'll let her do that and then we can get started.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Farouk. I'm a member of the Iran Civil Rights Committees defending human rights which is violated by the Islamic regime of Iran for the last 28 years of their bloody power. I'm also a member of the Committee for Freedom of Political Prisoners. I'm here to announce the International Day of Action. This is too high for me. Which will takes place next coming September 7 in front of Queen's Park, in front of the Parliament, from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. As you all know, I make it very short, the Islamic regime of Iran brutalizing the life of people of Iran for more than 2 decades. The regime of Iran is a regime of 28 years of execution, torture, gender apartheid, and basically our Day of Action International, through the last 28 years of their power, they're executing people, they do massacre, and recently, it's not the first time, they created too many Holocausts in Iran since their power. But recently, there is a wave of execution, terror, again, on the street, in front of the kids. There is one picture on the internet, if you guys, I don't know which site I should refer you to. They're executing people, 50 people, 50 political prisoners were sentenced to death by execution. And many are waiting for execution. And September 7 is the day of international action. The prisoners from inside of the prison of Iran, calling all humanitarian organizations, labor movement organizations, to support them, to put pressure on the Islamic regime for their brutality and barbarism, and they want you all of us. They want all of us to be there and support them. And unfortunately, I forgot to bring my petition. I like you to be there, and I like to focus on that. I am a victim of torture by the Islamic regime of Iran, and I would like to invite you all to be there to make our voices stronger. Please, thank you.
So our next speaker is actually quite a bit of a contrast to our last. Our last speaker tried to give a very academic and objective talk. I'm not going to say Homa is not fully objective, but our next speaker, as I mentioned, is Homa Arjomand, who's an Iranian Canadian activist. She used to be with the Iran Workers' Communist Party of Iran, but now I believe, if I can get this right, is part of the Workers' Communism Unity Party. Yes, she's nodding. And she also worked on the international campaign against Sharia law. She's actually a good friend of Center and is working with us on the one school system issue. So please welcome Homa Arjomand.
Thank you. Thanks to the Center for having me, and also thanks everyone for being here so late. Just to briefly let everyone know where my position is, absolutely 180-degree opposite than the professor. So I strongly, coming from a country where I strongly believe that secularism has root, and I strongly believe that sooner or later, the Islam forever would be vanished, exactly the same as what happened in Paris would happen in Iran, and it would happen in the heart of Iran. In fact, it would happen in Iran, and whole Middle East would be affected because of that. But for the purpose of TV, because this is going to be on my TV as well as on radio, I would like to go over my speech, but also I would like to pinpoint few points which I couldn't ask questions, because I strongly believe that the speaker should have debate. That's much effective than sitting and listening and not to have debate at all. So I'm going to emphasize on political Islam, where the professor didn't even touch it, and also various movements. This is the most important part, which nobody can ignore that. Nobody can ignore the movement in Iran. The reason that Iran did not become a Talibanization, it's just because of the movement like us. Women's movement, children's rights movement, youth movement, students movement, labor movement. It's uncountable, and they all share in one perspective, and that's secularism. And I'm going to discuss all that. So once again, I would like to begin my speech by thanking the center and also everyone here. So today's today's discussion is Iran's prospects for the secular democracy. Of course, the obstacles and potential. This is the title given to us by the organizers of today's event. This is a very popular discussion among intellectuals, researchers, various political parties, and not only in Iran, but also globally, internationally. There has been abundance of study regarding this, and various books have been written on this specific subject. But in today's speech, my focus is not on academic theory or studies on this view. I would like to focus on practical and prospects of secularism and democracy, and discussions and discuss the obstacles for free and secular society in Iran. The first point I would like to make is to the fact that the demand for secularism and freedom have become the main issue for the people in Iran, especially after the revolution in Iran was defeated by the Islamic regime under the leadership of Khomeini. The keen for total separation of religion from state and education was not limited to the intellectual and academics. That was not only the egress of the people. In fact, the movement started to form under the banner of secularism. This demand not only became the focal point of discussion among various parties and organizations, but also became part of their manifesto and platform. You can hardly find any party now, any party, even inside Iran, even Khatami started talking about secularism. Can you believe that? The debate on prospects for secularism and democracy grew every day in Iran. Discussions, not only among people, the discussions of intellectuals and academic and artists and scholars, all these, they written millions of pages and words about secularism. But most importantly, it became part of women, youth, workers, and even middle class daily struggle against the systematic suppression of Iran. And I'm talking, when I talk about Iran, it means Islamic State of Iran, and when I talk about people of Iran, of course, it's different movement, which is ongoing movement right now. Secularism in Iran is not a new phenomenon. It's a movement. First it started to form with the movement of constitution in 1907. You can see the picture of Mossadegh here too. And Mossadegh didn't come from nowhere. It was people pushing people like Mossadegh forward. So during that era, many prominent individuals in the field of politics and culture and literatures tried hard to portray the movement and establish its platform. But